The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Buddha's timeless words. The mind is everything. What you think, you become, hold within them a profound truth about the power of our inner world. Our mind is not just a tool for thinking, it is the very foundation of who we are and what we experience in life. Thoughts shape our emotions, actions, beliefs, and even the reality we attract. In this way, the mind is the seed of destiny. Let us explore 6 powerful dimensions of this wisdom, each showing how our thoughts shape the person we ultimately become. Power of thoughts. The quote, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become," beautifully emphasizes the incredible power of our thoughts. Our mind is like fertile soil where every thought is a seed. Whatever we plant, whether positive or negative, eventually grows and shapes the reality of our life. Just like a gardener chooses which seeds to sow, we too have the ability to select the nature of our thoughts. If we constantly nurture positive, uplifting, and empowering thoughts, we will create a peaceful and successful life. On the other hand, if we allow our mind to be filled with doubt, anger, fear, or negativity, we will find our life reflecting those patterns. The power of thoughts is often underestimated because they are invisible and internal. Yet, thoughts carry energy, and this energy influences not only our actions, but also the world around us. For example, when a person keeps thinking, "I am not good enough," they start behaving in a way that reflects insecurity and hesitation. Over time, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because their actions align with the belief they hold in their mind. In contrast, when a person thinks, "I can achieve my goals," they approach challenges with confidence, courage, and persistence, and their reality slowly aligns with this belief. In Buddhism, the mind is seen as the root cause of both suffering and happiness. It is said that suffering is not created by external events, but by how we interpret and think about those events. Two people may experience the same situation. One feels defeated, while the other sees it as an opportunity to grow. The difference lies not in the event itself, but in the thought patterns each person carries. This is why mastering the power of thoughts is one of the most important practices in the Buddhist path. Modern science also supports this ancient wisdom. Research in psychology shows that our thoughts can influence our physical health, emotional balance, and even the way our brain functions. Positive thinking reduces stress, improves resilience, and boosts overall well-being. The placebo effect is another strong example. When people believe they are receiving healing, their body often responds as though they truly are. This demonstrates that the mind can directly influence the body's condition. Moreover, thoughts don't just influence the self, they also affect how others perceive and respond to us. Imagine someone walking into a room with a cheerful and confident mindset. Their energy inspires positivity and draws people towards them. Now imagine another person entering the same room while carrying negative, doubtful, or anxious thoughts. Their body language and presence create an entirely different atmosphere. This shows that our thoughts radiate outward, shaping not only our own life, but also the environment around us. To harness the power of thoughts, one must cultivate mindfulness and awareness. Instead of letting the mind run on autopilot, filled with random, habitual thoughts, we should learn to observe them and consciously direct them. Meditation is one of the most effective tools for this practice. By sitting in stillness, focusing on the breath, and watching our thoughts arise, we begin to understand how our mind operates. Over time, we can learn to let go of negative thinking and replace it with thoughts of peace, compassion, and strength. The key is not to suppress negative thoughts, but to transform them. Just as darkness disappears when light enters a room, negative thinking fades when positive and mindful awareness is cultivated. When we realize that every thought is like a seed, we become careful about what we allow to grow in the garden of our mind. If we wish to harvest joy, success, and wisdom, we must first plant the seeds of positivity, clarity, and compassion. In conclusion, the power of thoughts is immense. They are the foundation of our reality, shaping who we are and what we experience. By becoming aware of our thinking patterns and consciously guiding them toward positivity, we can transform our inner world and, as a result, the outer world we live in. Truly, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Mind as a creator, the mind is often called the architect of life. When Buddha said, "The mind is everything, what you think you become," he was pointing to a profound truth. The mind creates our reality. Every experience we have, every success we achieve, and every challenge we face is filtered through the lens of the mind. The external world may present events, but it is our mind that interprets, reacts, and gives meaning to those events. In this way, the mind is not a passive observer of life. It is the creator of our experience. Think of the mind as a painter and life as a canvas. The colors are your thoughts. If the painter chooses dark and dull shades, the painting will reflect sadness and despair. But if the painter chooses bright and lively shades, the painting will reflect joy, harmony, and beauty. In the same way, your life reflects the thoughts and beliefs you consistently hold in your mind. This creation begins with imagination. Everything that exists in the world today, whether a building, a book, a work of art, or even scientific discoveries, was first created in the mind. Before any invention was built, it was an idea in someone's thoughts. The mind visualized it, refined it, and gave it shape long before it became a physical reality. This shows that the mind is a source of creation, not just reaction. If we can imagine a better life, a peaceful society, or a successful career, we are already planting the seeds for that creation. However, this creative power works both ways. If we constantly dwell on fear, failure, or negativity, we begin to create those realities in our life. Someone who believes, "I will never succeed," may not even attempt new opportunities, and even if they try, their lack of belief will weaken their efforts. Their mind has already created a future of failure before it even arrives. On the other hand, someone who believes, "I am capable of learning and growing," creates a mindset of resilience and determination. Over time, this inner creation manifests outwardly as success and progress. Buddhism teaches that reality is shaped by the mind through perception. For example, two people may experience the same event, yet one feels joy while the other feels anger. This difference arises not from the event itself, but from how the mind creates meaning. In this sense, life is not what happens to us. It is how our mind interprets and responds. By understanding this, we realize that we have much greater control over our happiness than we might think. Modern science also supports the idea of the mind as a creator. Neuroscience has shown that the brain is constantly rewiring itself based on our thoughts and experiences, a process called neuroplasticity. When we repeatedly think in a certain way, we strengthen those neural pathways, making it easier to continue thinking the same thoughts in the future. This is why habits of thought are so powerful. They literally shape the structure of our brain. By choosing empowering, positive, and constructive thoughts, we train our brain to create a stronger and more resilient version of ourselves. To make the best use of the mind's creative power, mindfulness and intention are essential. Mindfulness allows us to notice the patterns of thought that arise, while intention guides us to choose which patterns we want to strengthen. For example, instead of unconsciously allowing negative self-talk to dominate, we can consciously replace it with affirmations of strength, compassion, and possibility. Over time, this changes the reality we create for ourselves. Meditation is a powerful practice for awakening the creative mind. By quieting the constant noise of random thoughts, meditation allows the mind to become clear and focused. In this stillness, we can plant the seeds of intention more deeply, allowing them to grow into positive creations in our lives. Just as a calm lake clearly reflects the sky, a calm mind reflects wisdom, clarity, and creativity. In conclusion, the mind is not merely a receiver of reality, it is the creator of reality. The beliefs we hold, the thoughts we repeat, and the visions we nurture become the blueprint of our lives. When we understand that the mind is a creative force, we realize our responsibility in choosing what kind of reality we want to build. By nurturing positive, compassionate, and mindful thoughts, we can create a life of peace, success, and fulfillment. Truly, the mind is the greatest creator we will ever know. Self-identity and belief. When Buddha said, "The mind is everything, what you think you become." One of the deepest meanings behind this wisdom is that our thoughts shape our self-identity. Who we believe we are, what we think we are capable of, and how we see ourselves in relation to the world. These are all created in the mind first, and they eventually become our reality. Every human being carries an inner dialogue, a constant stream of thoughts that define their self-image. If these thoughts are empowering, such as "I am capable," "I am worthy," "I can grow," then the person develops confidence, resilience, and a healthy identity. But if the mind is filled with self-doubt, "I am weak, I cannot succeed, I don't deserve happiness," then that identity becomes one of limitation, fear, and low self-worth. This shows that self-identity is not fixed. It is created and recreated by the beliefs we carry in our mind. Beliefs are like the foundation of a building. If the foundation is strong, the building can rise high and withstand storms. If the foundation is weak, the building collapses easily. Similarly, when our beliefs about ourselves are positive and empowering, we can face life's challenges with strength. But if our beliefs are negative and destructive, even small difficulties can make us collapse emotionally. One powerful example is the belief in potential. A student who believes, "I can learn anything if I practice," will keep trying even after failure. Over time, this belief becomes their reality because persistence leads to improvement. On the other hand, a student who thinks, "I'm not smart enough," may give up easily and never discover their true potential. Their belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Thus, our self-identity is not built on facts, but on thoughts that we repeatedly tell ourselves. In Buddhism, the concept of right view emphasizes seeing ourselves and the world with clarity. Wrong views, such as thinking we are unworthy or permanent in our struggles, lead to suffering. Right views, such as recognizing our potential for growth and transformation, lead to liberation. This shows that the way we think about ourselves shapes not only our personal identity, but also our spiritual journey. Modern psychology also confirms this. The concept of the self-fulfilling prophecy explains how beliefs shape outcomes. If you believe you will succeed, your behavior aligns with confidence, effort, and persistence, increasing your chances of success. If you believe you will fail, your hesitation and lack of effort bring about that very failure. Similarly, cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT) teaches that by changing negative thought patterns, we can reshape our emotions and behaviors, effectively transforming our self-identity. Our beliefs about ourselves also affect how others see and treat us. A person who carries themselves with self-respect born from healthy thoughts is often respected by others. Conversely, someone who constantly doubts themselves may unintentionally invite disrespect or neglect. This again shows that our inner identity becomes an outer reality. However, the beautiful truth is that self-identity is not permanent. It is flexible. Just as a sculptor shapes clay, we can reshape our self-beliefs through awareness and practice. Mindfulness helps us observe harmful thoughts like, "I am not good enough," without becoming attached to them. Once we recognize these limiting thoughts, we can replace them with new beliefs that reflect our true potential. Meditation also helps by quieting the noise of negative thinking and allowing space for clarity and self-compassion. Affirmations, visualization, and conscious self-reflection are practical tools to strengthen positive beliefs. By affirming thoughts such as, "I am growing each day," or visualizing ourselves achieving goals, we reinforce an identity of strength and resilience. Over time, these repeated thoughts become ingrained in the mind, shaping a healthier self-image. In conclusion, our self-identity is not something we are born with, it is something we create in the mind. The beliefs we hold about ourselves become the reality we live. If we believe in fear and limitation, that becomes our truth. But if we believe in growth, compassion, and inner strength, that becomes our path. Buddha's wisdom reminds us that by consciously shaping our thoughts, we can create a self-identity that leads to peace, confidence, and fulfillment. Truly, what you think you become. Influence emotions. One of the most powerful truths hidden in Buddha's teaching, the mind is everything. What you think you become is the connection between thoughts and emotions. Every feeling we experience, whether joy, sadness, anger, or peace, has its roots in our thinking. Thoughts act like the seeds, and emotions are the flowers that bloom from them. If the thoughts are positive and nurturing, the emotions that arise will be peaceful and uplifting. If the thoughts are negative and destructive, the emotions will be heavy and painful. Imagine two people walking in the rain. One thinks, "This is terrible, I'm soaked, I hate this weather." Naturally, their emotions become irritation and frustration. The other person thinks, "How refreshing the rain feels, it's nourishing the earth and cooling the air." Their emotion becomes joy and gratitude. The situation is the same, but the emotional experience is completely different because of the thoughts chosen by the mind. This demonstrates how much power our thoughts hold in shaping our emotional state. Buddhism emphasizes mindfulness of thought for this very reason. Suffering often does not come from events themselves, but from the thoughts we attach to them. When we feel anxious, it is often because our mind is filled with thoughts of fear about the future. When we feel regret or sadness, it is because our mind is trapped in thoughts of the past. Peace arises when the mind is trained to remain in the present moment, free from unnecessary mental stories. Thus, mastering thoughts is the key to mastering emotions. Science also agrees with this. Cognitive psychology shows that our thoughts create emotional responses. For example, if a person thinks, "Nobody appreciates me," they feel lonely and sad. But if they shift their thought to, "I am grateful for the few people who truly care about me," the emotion changes to appreciation and warmth. The external circumstances may remain unchanged, but the emotional experience becomes completely transformed because of a change in thought. This connection between thoughts and emotions can be seen in daily life. A negative thought like "I always fail" can produce feelings of hopelessness and discouragement. A positive thought like "I'm still learning" and "I will improve" generates motivation and optimism. Over time, these emotional responses influence behavior, creating either a cycle of growth or a cycle of suffering. This is why it is said that we don't just have emotions, we create them through the way we think. However, many people feel controlled by their emotions because they are unaware of the thought patterns that give rise to them. The practice of mindfulness allows us to pause and observe the thoughts that trigger emotional waves. By noticing these patterns, we can consciously choose whether to believe and follow a thought or let it pass. For example, during anger, if we pause and reflect, "This anger is coming from my thought that things should go my way," we can release the thought and soften the emotion. Without awareness, however, the thought intensifies and the emotion takes over. Meditation plays a central role in balancing thoughts and emotions. When we meditate, we train the mind to observe thoughts without judgment. This breaks the automatic link between thought and emotional reaction. Over time, we become less controlled by passing thoughts and more rooted in inner calm. In this way, even when difficult thoughts arise, we do not allow them to fully dominate our emotions. It is also important to recognize that emotions are not bad in themselves. They are signals guiding us to look at our thoughts more carefully. Sadness may show us that our thoughts are dwelling in loss, while anger may reveal our thoughts of injustice or unmet expectations. By addressing the root thoughts instead of suppressing emotions, we can heal and transform them. In conclusion, thoughts are the invisible architects of our emotions. Just as the quality of soil determines the quality of a plant, the quality of our thoughts determines the nature of our feelings. By learning to direct our thinking with mindfulness and compassion, we can cultivate emotions of peace, joy, and love instead of fear, anger, and despair. Buddhist teaching reminds us that when we purify the mind, our emotional life also transforms. Indeed, what you think, you become, and this includes the emotions we live with every day. Attracting energy, when Buddha said, "the mind is everything. What you think, you become," he was pointing to a deeper truth about the mind's power to influence not only our inner world, but also the energy we attract in the outer world. Thoughts are not just silent whispers inside our head. They carry a vibration, a frequency of energy that influences our life and the environment around us. This is why positive, compassionate, and hopeful thoughts often attract harmony, while negative, fearful, and destructive thoughts tend to draw conflict and suffering. The concept of energy attraction can be understood by looking at how people respond to one another. A person who constantly thinks angry or bitter thoughts radiates a certain heaviness that others can feel, even without words. Their body language, tone, and presence communicate negativity. As a result, they often attract more negativity in return, arguments, mistrust, or loneliness. On the other hand, someone who cultivates thoughts of kindness and gratitude radiates warmth. People feel drawn to them, opportunities open, and life seems to flow more smoothly. In this way, our mental energy sets the tone for what we attract. In Buddhism, this is closely linked to the principle of karma. Karma is not merely about external actions, but also about thoughts and intentions. A compassionate thought plants the seed for future peace, while a hateful thought plants the seed for future suffering. Over time, these thought seeds ripen into experiences, shaping the energy of our life. This shows that our mind does not just react to the world. It actively attracts experiences based on the quality of our thinking. Modern science also offers insight into this phenomenon. Psychology has shown that people with optimistic thinking patterns often experience better relationships, stronger health, and greater success. This is partly because positive thinkers are more open, resilient, and proactive, but it is also because their mindset creates an aura of confidence and possibility that attracts supportive people and opportunities. Similarly, neuroscience reveals that our thoughts influence brain chemistry, which in turn affects body language and emotional tone, signals that others unconsciously respond to. Thus, our mental energy is constantly communicating, even when we are silent. Practical examples make this even clearer. Imagine someone attending a job interview while filled with anxious thoughts like "I am not good enough for this job." Their nervousness shows in their voice and posture, and the interviewer senses the lack of confidence. The outcome often reflects that energy. Now, imagine the same person entering with thoughts like "I will give my best and I deserve good opportunities." Their calmness and confidence radiate, and the interviewer feels that energy. The situation is identical, but the result changes because of the energy shaped by thoughts. The mind's energy not only affects how others perceive us, but also influences the events we notice and attract. When we dwell on negativity, our focus narrows, and we only see obstacles. Opportunities may pass unnoticed. But when we think positively, we train our mind to look for solutions, growth, and possibilities. This shift in focus allows us to attract better outcomes because we are open to seeing and receiving them. To harness this principle, mindfulness and conscious thought practice are essential. Mindfulness helps us recognize when our thoughts carry negative energy, while conscious practice allows us to redirect them. For example, if we catch ourselves thinking, "Nothing ever works out for me," we can shift to, "This moment is difficult, but I am capable of finding a way forward." Over time, this consistent shift attracts energy of resilience and possibility instead of defeat. Meditation and gratitude practices are powerful tools to cultivate positive mental energy. Meditation clears away unnecessary mental noise, creating space for peaceful energy. Gratitude focuses the mind on what is already good, magnifying feelings of abundance and joy. These practices naturally attract more harmony because they align the mind with higher vibrations of positivity. In conclusion, our thoughts are magnets, attracting energy that mirrors their nature. Negative thoughts pull in negativity, while positive thoughts attract positivity. Buddha's teaching reminds us that the mind is not just a private space, but a creative force that shapes our reality through the energy it sends out. When we cultivate thoughts of compassion, joy, and wisdom, we not only transform our inner world, but also attract experiences that reflect that higher state of being. Truly, the mind is the greatest magnet of energy, and asterisk, what you think, you become. Transformation through awareness, Buddha's teaching, asterisk, the mind is everything, what you think, you become, asterisk, is not just a statement of truth, it is also a call to practice awareness. The mind, left unobserved, runs like a wild river, carrying countless thoughts, fears, and desires. These uncontrolled thoughts shape who we are and what we experience, often without us even realizing it. But when we bring asterisk asterisk, awareness asterisk asterisk into the process, we gain the ability to guide the mind and transform our life. Awareness is the key that unlocks freedom from unconscious thinking and allows true transformation to take place. Awareness means observing our thoughts without being trapped by them. Normally, when a thought arises, such as asterisk, I am not good enough, asterisk, we believe it immediately and allow it to influence our emotions and actions. With awareness, however, we learn to pause and simply notice, asterisk, here is a thought of self-doubt, asterisk, by doing so, we create space between the thought and ourselves. In that space lies freedom, the freedom to choose whether to follow the thought or let it pass. This small shift changes everything because we realize we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness that observes them. In Buddhism, mindfulness, asterisk sati asterisk, is the practice of living with this awareness. Through mindfulness, we see that thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky, temporary, ever-changing, and not who we truly are. By practicing mindfulness in daily life, we gradually weaken the grip of negative thoughts such as anger, fear, and greed. Instead of becoming consumed by them, we recognize them, understand them, and allow them to dissolve. This is transformation at its deepest level, changing our inner world by cultivating conscious awareness. Modern psychology also supports this principle. Practices like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, and mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, are built on the idea that awareness of thoughts reduces stress and emotional suffering. By observing thoughts without judgment, people can prevent harmful thought patterns from spiraling into depression or anxiety. Neuroscience further shows that regular mindfulness practice reshapes the brain, strengthening regions linked to emotional regulation and weakening those connected to stress. This proves that awareness does not just change how we think, it physically transforms the brain. Transformation through awareness also means taking responsibility for the quality of our thoughts. Without awareness, it is easy to blame external circumstances for our suffering, but with awareness, we see that much of our pain comes from the stories we tell ourselves about those circumstances. For example, losing a job may lead one person to think, asterisk, I am worthless, resulting in despair. Another person with awareness may think, this is a chance to explore new opportunities, leading to growth. The event is the same, but awareness transforms the outcome. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for cultivating awareness. In meditation, we train the mind to notice thoughts as they arise and let them go without attachment. Over time, this practice makes us less reactive and more peaceful. Even outside meditation, awareness continues to guide us, helping us stay calm during conflict, patient in difficulty, and compassionate in relationships. Each moment of awareness becomes an opportunity for transformation. Another important aspect of awareness is self, compassion. Often, when we become aware of negative thoughts, we may judge ourselves harshly. Why am I always thinking this way? True awareness, however, includes kindness. It recognizes the thought, accepts it as part of the human experience, and gently chooses a better path. This compassionate awareness is what truly transforms the mind, because it heals rather than suppresses. In conclusion, awareness is the bridge between thought and transformation. Without it, we remain prisoners of unconscious thinking, shaped by fear, doubt, and negativity. With it, we become conscious creators of our life, shaping our identity, emotions, and actions with clarity and wisdom. Buddhist teaching reminds us that while the mind determines who we become, awareness gives us the power to guide the mind. By practicing mindfulness and compassionate observation, we can transform suffering into peace, ignorance into wisdom, and limitation into freedom. Truly, awareness is the path to becoming our highest self,